Okay, I really enjoyed doing this interview with my teacher. I looked at the questions and thought that I would know most of her answers just from observing her and being around her and being in her class for a while. But it was really nice to kind of get some of the ideas and thoughts behind what she does and to get more of an insight to some of her beliefs about teaching and some of the things that she sees as the hardest part of teaching or the most stressful. Her planning is really interesting. She plans with another teacher, and every year they do, they'll plan over the summer, and they've been doing it for so long together, they have their set plan for each unit. And so they'll teach a unit, and then after each unit decide what worked, what didn't work, where on the test so the kids seem confused, and they'll write notes to themselves about it and mark it. And then over a break or the next summer, they'll go back and change it and tweak it. So while they don't necessarily have to do a lot of work when it's time to teach that lesson, they always review and reflect on their lessons and then use the summer to change that so it's ready to go for the next year. For the SOLs, this school isn't having a huge ordeal with trying to pass them. So the teachers kind of take the SOLs, or my teacher takes it as just a framework. She takes what they need to know and breaks it down, but she doesn't like how some of the SOLs are ordered. So she may pull SOLs from different areas and use that as her basis, but then they always build on it. They don't just stay within the framework of the SOLs. This just helps them kind of stay on track and make sure that they're teaching the kids what they need to know. But they just like to make it more cohesive and not as disjointed, and just really get at like what the kids really need to understand. I really liked hearing her philosophy on education because it's very similar to what my own, as I've been reflecting on the year and looking at different themes and social studies. It's really reflective of kind of my own philosophy, and she doesn't think that we just need to teach kids facts. Like, teaching kids facts is not teaching. She thinks we need to teach them to be students. To be students, they need to know how to think critically. So her big thing is getting them to think critically, and she does that through, they have to do critical events, and this is, or not critical events, current events, and this is an 8th grade civics class. So she's asking the 8th graders to first summarize their current event and then analyze it. So they have to say, how is this event going to impact what's going on politically or socially or economically? So she really starts to get them thinking, and they have a lot of trouble thinking this way because they haven't been asked to think analytically before. So it's really neat to see her kind of try and help them understand what critical thinking is. Some of the biggest stresses of teaching on her are kind of the whims of the administration. They will get a big idea and this vision that does sound great, but practically it's really hard and it adds a lot more onto the teacher's plates. On top of teaching, she has to do duties. She has 3 duties, so every week she has a different duty, and now they're doing a school-wide literacy program, which is really neat. They're doing in their advisory, the school's reading 3 cups of tea. That's another thing that the core teachers have to do. And so it's just this list of things that she has to do on top of teaching. Another big thing that's stressful are meetings and just not being able to have your planning time. Like, for the whole month of October, her planning period has been taken up by parent-teacher conferences, which she's glad parents are coming in, but the way it's done just takes up her whole planning period, and so she has to take a lot of schoolwork home. It can't be done in the school. And the last thing she just said was, you don't know how each day is going to go. Your day is so dependent on the student, so dependent on random things that happen during the day. A big issue that she sees is full inclusion. She does not think that helps some of the students. While it does help some, it hinders a lot. They feel behind in her class, and as much as she tries to help them, it's just really hard to teach the class and help the kids who really need it as well. So she would say those are the biggest stresses of teaching. Behavior management, she really doesn't have that many issues, and part of that is the school she's at. It's a higher socioeconomic status school for the most part, so there's not gangs or big time fighting. But just for the little everyday management issues, she'll move students around. Initially, they can pick where they sit, but she'll move students around if they're talking or causing trouble. She has a lot of informal conferences with the kids. She'll call them over, like before or after class. She won't send them out of the classroom. She'll just call them over and kind of reason with them one-on-one. Because they're in 8th grade, they're getting to the point where they are not babies anymore. They need to think like adults, and so she really can reason with them, and they, for the most part, really respect her and will listen. And also her classroom setup. She has her classroom set up with tables facing in. So there's 2 rows of tables on either side facing inward. So it's really hard for kids to like be in the back. Everyone's kind of at the front, and she can see everyone. So it's hard for anyone to really goof off in the back row. Her life outside of school is very busy in general. She's, a mom who's has kids doing traveling soccer, and she's a debate coach at the high school. So she leads a very busy life. But the biggest times that school has to come home with her are when papers are turned in and she has to grade them, because she makes the kids write a lot, which is good. Or if her meetings are all taken up. So I really enjoyed kind of picking her brain and seeing some of her thoughts behind what she does. It was really a good insight and just a good way to see how the everyday teacher thinks and feels about certain issues.